Welcome back to another episode, everybody. My name's Emery Wolf. Joining me is
Nick Lamb.
And this is Just Two Camera Guys, a show where we're going to talk about all things camera. Today on the show, Nick, we got a few things to talk about, some gear stuff that we want to get into. But first, joining us tonight is Dustan Hlady again, who is pumping his own show, and he's also got an interesting Oscar tidbit for us to start. Dustan, actually, quick question for you. Is there something, I guess, what is sort of the main points of the Oscars this year? I might Google some stuff and bring up some stuff on screen for Nick to use.
Future Nick here. Emery, I do believe you were Googling things throughout the episode. However, I don't think you hit record. So there won't be anything else on the screen other than just us.
First, I just thought it was, so people always complain about how the Oscars are so long. And that they just take forever. And they were shorter this year, and there's like a lot less fluff. It was very like, get to the awards, which people have been asking for years. People have been like, why are you throwing in all these jokes? Why are you throwing in all these like, montages and all this? I was not one of those people complaining those. I was always like, I love this so long. We really didn't do a party this year. In fact, it was really hard for us to even see it. So Carrie and I it's kind of like our date night. We watch all the Oscar movies, and then, we just kind of had we just watched it together. But then about an hour before it starts, we realized, we have no way to watch it, because we just thought, it'll be streaming somewhere, and you couldn't stream it on YouTube. You couldn't stream it anywhere. The only way to watch in Canada legally was you need to have CTV, and we used to have, even last year we had like cable, but we didn't have it this year. And so we were just kind of like, and to even it's not like you can just like, it's like, signing up for like Apple TV or something like that. Like, to be on CTV, you gotta contact someone, and it's a whole thing. And so we were like, we're just not going to be able to watch the Oscars. And we ended up finding some random website that like basically someone plays TV stations like through a website kind of thing, and we watched it with that. We were able to suck up our computer to our TV and do it that way. But it was like really like just website I've never heard of before, probably downloading a million viruses. But we were able to watch them all. But so that was a real bummer for my brother. My brother gets super into the Oscars as well. He's like kind of like a so bad it's good filmmaker kind of thing. His films are like awesome, but not probably why he wants them to be awesome. It's kind of like he's been like the Room vibe, but I think more entertaining. I love his films, but anyways, he really gets in the Oscars too. He always dresses up, and and he wasn't able to even find a way to watch it because who has CTV anymore?
I think I'm the only person in the room that probably has it still.
Yeah, I don't have.
and I don't even watch it. Like, I'm just paying for it, and it's just all waste. Was there any big surprises at the Oscars this year?
I think one of them a lot of people talked about was the award for Best Actress. So so let me see. Let's pull up the nominees. So it was Annette Bening, Lily Gladstone, Sandra Hüller, Carey Mulligan, and Emma Stone. So it was really stacked. It was very competitive. But Emma Stone won, and like a lot of people really hate her performance. So in Poor Things. So like that was a surprising one, that she, because I think a lot of people were even wondering why she was nominated. But this is actually her second Oscar too. So I think maybe the Academy just really loves her. Obviously they really love her. So a lot of people thought Lily Gladstone should win. Probably the problem was Lily Gladstone probably shouldn't have been in the Best Actress category. She probably should have been supporting, because Killers of the Flower Moon, I don't think he gets. I'm actually not sure why they put her in the leading role, because it's definitely like Leo is like main like actor in that, and then you would say like her and Robert De Niro are the supporting actors. Like it's all from kind of his perspective and stuff. So I don't know. So, and she would have probably taken it if she was in. Well, maybe not. I don't know, but yeah, I don't know. So a lot of people are saying she was robbed. But
Which performance do you think's worth seeing out of the nominees?
Which ones were what?
For the best actress, which performance would you recommend going to see?
I probably would have picked Lily Gladstone from Killers of the Flower Moon myself. I mean, maybe not the right category, but it was definitely the best out of all those options. Also, she's a random thing I found out. There's an art house movie theater in Missoula, Montana, that my family loves to go to. So we've been to Missoula twice now. They have a lot of good concerts there, and it's a 10-hour drive. So a lot of those bands that never come to Canada, like they'll play Missoula. And we went down to see the Avett Brothers, but they canceled because they got COVID. But we went down anyways, and we went to this theater. It's just like this amazing theater. And then we ended up going the following year to actually go to the concert that got postponed. So we've been there 2 summers in a row now. We always go to the Roxy Theater when we're down there. It's kind of like this art house theater that shows like older movies and like current, like more underground movies, and but anyways, like Lily Gladstone used to work at that theater. So we were really excited about that too, because we were like, oh my gosh, she's like used to work at like our favorite theater in the world. So, but also her performance is probably the best one.
For you personally, like what was kind of the biggest disappointment?
The biggest disappointment? Well, I thought there's like just a lot of great films. I didn't expect it to be basically it was like a Poor Things Oppenheimer sweep, like across the board. Like they just took everything. Like Poor Things took more of the, some of the, like, I guess they both had some acting. But Poor Things took more, like they took production design and costume and all that stuff. It definitely should have won production design and costume. I mean, there's nothing like that. But I just expected other films to win. Like they just kind of took everything, which is like was a little boring. It was just like, oh, okay, okay, Oppenheimer and like Barbie didn't win any. Killers of the Flower Moon didn't win any. Won 0 Oscars. Holdovers won 0. American Fiction won 0. Zone of Interest, I think, which was probably my favorite film of the year. I think they won for sound, which made total sense. Yeah, it did win sound. Because Zone of Interest is you follow this German family, this guy who runs Auschwitz. No, was it Auschwitz? It wasn't Auschwitz. What was the other one that was? Well, anyways, he runs a concentration camp, but you don't ever see into a concentration camp. You see him and his family outside of the concentration camp, leading these really banal lives, like being caught up in these like really small personal dramas that don't really matter in the scale of what's happening, like literally next door. Like they share a wall with like the wall that's their house, their garden, and then there's the wall to the concentration camp, and you can hear the concentration camp through the whole film, but you never get to see inside it, and it's kind of like a terrifying movie because of that. So yeah, they won Best Sound, but that's kind of all. Yeah, a lot of great movies just didn't win nothing, so that was kind of disappointing. The 20 Days of Miracle won the Best Documentary Feature Film, which was not my favorite. I think that, a lot of times those are like kind of politically motivated. Obviously, like it's about the first 20 days of the Russian invasion of Ukraine. So, I mean, that's, I think they say, what's the most important thing happening in the world right now? Let's give it to that one. but if you're just gonna judge it like on like a like as an art though, like with the editing, because it's pretty straightforward. 20 Days to Miracle. It's just like they filmed the first 20 days. It's horrible. You're like half hour in. You're like, I didn't know I was gonna be like watching. I didn't know I was gonna see like 2 dead kids already.
Wow.
It's very intense. It's a little bit like when you're having a great time watching Instagram reels, and then all of a sudden like your algorithm brings up some crazy car crash stuff, and like, I think I just saw someone die. So it's a but the editing isn't, the editing is just kind of, it's very straightforward, and it's a very important documentary. But To Kill a Tiger or Bobby Wine, the People's President, like those as an art piece, that's
That was the best. He crawled through the bottom too to try and stay out of it, but was totally in it. You just seen him crawling across.
I love how people think they shouldn't get in calls and stuff, because it's like,
yeah,
it doesn't ever matter.
it's fine.
Had he just mocked, it would have looked perfectly normal, fine. No one would have done anything, but no, he was crawling.
Actually, I'm surprised he didn't put like he has like a like doctor mask. And sometimes he just goes out on this edge of the street and he just looks at cars. So I'm surprised he didn't put that on and just stood in the back. But yeah, there was like one joke. There's basically like one bit, really. I mean, there's a couple, like the Oscars used to be, they'd have like they just do a bit. They just do a comedy bit. It's like they only did that once. John Cena. They talked about how there was a streaker at the Oscars in the 70s, and then Jimmy Kimmel's like, wouldn't that be crazy if that happened today? But the camera's on. Yeah, just don't walk by.
Oh, yeah.
All right. Well, does that work for lighting now?
That's totally fine.
Yeah, well,
that'll make you lose your train of thought, eh?
Oh yeah. So the John Cena, like, he's kind of like naked off in the background, and he's like, I don't want to do this bit anymore. And he comes out and he has like the card is the only thing covering his crotch basically, and then he does a speech on the importance of wardrobe, which I thought was fun. So.
It's got to be hard for shows like that now, especially after the whole Chris Rock, Will Smith incident.
Oh yeah, yeah, that's true. That's true. Like there was no moment like that. The Oscars have like almost had like a crazy moment every year for a long time. There's like no crazy moments, and you could tell even like people were like especially like the red carpet, and when people were talking about stuff, they're really trying to create those moments. But yeah, it was kind of a boring night. It would have been nice if someone slapped somebody. But
I got 2 last questions for you. Are you kind of done wrapping up, Dustin, or you got a few more things?
No, but yeah.
Basically, what I kind of want to know is, first off, like, what are we looking at for front runners for next year already?
Oh, yeah, I have no idea. That's like notoriously like. February to April is like the worst movies come out. So yeah, I don't even know what would be like the stuff coming up that people would.
Yeah. Nick always released his movies in February to April.
Yeah, that's when I would release mine.
The last thing, Dustin, just real quickly, I guess maybe there is one thing that should be on the nomination list. Do you want to tell us a little bit about your project?
Yeah, for sure. So I've been working on this project for about 2 years, 2 and a little bit years, and started out as a film that I wrote, and then somebody said, there's a lot of story here. You should turn it into a series. And I've already made a feature. And so And I kind of just thought, well, one season, a TV show, a feature, how can it be that different? But it's like, but it's been like quite a ride. It's pretty like, so basically I ended up shooting, I think when all was said and done, it was 900 something, like almost 1,000 hours of footage that we had shot. And then it took me about a year to edit that all into 19 episodes. And then now I'm kind of at that part where it's all the post production that I can't do on my own. So, post sound and score and VFX and color grading. So that's basically where I'm at right now. But that stuff's like all pretty expensive. So I decided, filmmakers, I think we get to do one Indiegogo. I don't know. Like I could do it twice. You don't want to be that guy that's like, hey, another Indiegogo, give me money so I can finish my film or my series or my TV show. But I thought, well, I feel like everyone should do one once. Like if people believe in the project, give people an opportunity to support it if they want to. And I have been kind of floored by people who are like just really, really believe in the project. Our on-site sound guy, Derek, just stopped by today and made a big donation, and I was just kind of like, wow, like I paid him to work on this, and now he's like giving some of that back just because he just loved the project and had so much fun making it. Like it was one of those like really, it was pretty fun set. It was like, it's a lot of fun. So so I've just been kind of floored by like, I almost want to be like, why are you doing, like when people give something, I'm like, why would you do this? It's like you didn't need to, but I'm trying to let I'm always bad at accepting help and accepting compliments or something, anything. So it has been like a really fun journey just to be like, to accept the kindness of people who believe in the project or believe in me as an artist and want to
So
see
I
it.
saw the first episode or whatever you've released.
Yeah.
And it's cool. It's a cool story because it's basically this there's a couple and they've got the thing that I really liked about it was the interaction and the dialogue seemed quite real. Like it was very realistic dialogue. And then I'm interested to see, because it was a while ago that I saw it, but it's the girls going on a road trip to California. Is that it?
Yeah. So she's a Moose Jaw documentary filmmaker, and she is obsessed with this late 70s experimental film that it's kind of like, like a David Lynch type, Eraserhead type film that like nobody knows what it means. Like, because notoriously no one understands Eraserhead and knows what it means. And so there's this film in this universe that's like that. And wants to get to the bottom of it. So she's like, I'm going to go to Los Angeles. I'm going to meet the director. I'm going to try and figure like, what is this weird film about? And along the way, she discovers that there might be something supernatural about the film itself. And I don't know, I don't want to give away too much, but let's just say like even her very existence is called into question. So it is, and I don't want to give too much away because it is like a very, like I've only shown it to a few people, like the rough cuts, and everyone who's watched it so far has said, I had no idea. If you told me you're going to start here and you're going to get here, I couldn't have guessed it in a million years, like where it ends up to where it starts to like where this story goes. Like it's every episode, I tried to write it in a way where every episode would add a new mystery. So every episode kind of introduces a concept in the story and a layer of mystery. And so the mystery kind of builds throughout the film until there's, a climax. And it's not like Lost. I mean, everything does mean something in the end. It does all make sense in the end. But But it's not a tag on. It's like I had the thought of what the ending was going to be when I wrote it, but yeah. So that's kind of the story to it. Yeah.
Oh,
So
that's awesome.
Yeah, it's 19 episodes. You've shot them all already. You're just looking for that post stuff.
Yeah.
The Indiegogo. Actually, do you know what? Before I even mention that, do you know what you have not said through this entire thing? What is the
What?
name of it?
Oh yeah. It's called Sin 3056843, which makes it very hard to remember. But also, once you do know it, super easy to Google.
Yeah, very Google. You know what's funny? So Dustin said everybody gets their one Indiegogo. On my documentary, we did a Kickstarter Indiegogo.
Yeah, I remember.
And I hope yours does better than mine. I can tell you that.
Yeah. Well, I've been raising money a couple of different ways. There's some people who've given me money like outside of the Indiegogo. And plus I've just been raising money myself. Like I took a couple extra jobs and so I'm working like a homeless shelter on the weekends, some weekends like as a casual, and working in a group home and so which is so I'm it's like any way to raise the money. Robert Rodriguez, he sold his body to science so he could make what's his first feature? I can't remember what it was called. El Marache. But yeah, he was one of those like where they tested drugs on him kind of thing, and he was one of those ones where he had to stay in the place, so he was like stuck in this place for a month or two, and then he used the money to make a film. So I think it's
That's
like
awesome.
Independent filmmakers, you just get the money how you can. If you can find an investor. I did have one meeting with a guy that was like trying to convince me to turn the series into NFTs, which I was like, I was like, hey, if you want to do that with me, but he's like, no, you should do it. And I was like, okay. He's like, I'll help you. I'll call you and help you on it. And I was like, that'd be like trying to tell someone like over the phone how to fix their car. I'm not gonna no
Yeah.
I was like, it's an idea. I mean, I might do it. But and then he was like talking about some potential investors that he has like through his different what's Bitcoin? What do they call that? What Bitcoin is like a cyber money. I can't remember what it's called. But you know what I'm talking about?
I'm blanking on it too.
What's the word for what Bitcoin is?
It's a token.
No, like
Well,
the bigger
crypto.
Cryptocurrency. Yeah. So yeah, there's like, so yeah. I mean, it's like as an independent filmmaker, it's just like different ways to try and make money. Yeah. So maybe get some guys with crypto to invest. I don't know. It's
Awesome. So you mentioned just before you go, I wanted to get your top 5 shows to see. So you said Zone of Interest, To Kill a Tiger. Give us 3 more that we need to see this year.
Okay. Give me 5 that were nominated. Okay, my top 5. My top 5. Probably number 1 was the documentary, Bobby Wine, the People's President. Zone of Interest. To Kill a Tiger. Even though everyone's already seen it, Barbie be on my list. And for number 5, even though there's been some controversy around the idea that maybe the script was plagiarized, Holdovers was an amazing film. But
Holdovers.
Maybe, and the script itself is really amazing. The script is really the star of the show, so I don't know, but it could have been plagiarized. So those
Interesting.
Though,
I'll have to look that up. That's cool. Didn't know it was possibly plagiarized.
Yeah, for sure. Well, we'll wrap this up. Everybody, make sure you're looking on Indiegogo for Sin 3056843. You can try to Google that. We'll probably provide some links as well, which might be helpful.
If you Google Indiegogo Sin 3056843, it definitely comes up on Google.
Yeah. And then the
First thing.
pilot episode 1 is up on YouTube as well. So people can actually watch that there and, put their money where their mouth is. Watch it and then decide like
Worth
this
a watch.
is worth my
doubt.
while.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Put their
Thanks a
money
lot.
where my post sound guy's mouth is. He likes to eat, like everyone.
Yeah, I imagine paying people in this industry. Anyways, Dustin, thanks for coming on again. It's been a blast. Thanks for keeping us up. And you know what? I think you are our third repeat person, so we're going to keep bringing you on because you know way more about this stuff than we do.
This is really fun.
This is awesome. I love learning about movies.
You guys are super fun. So have fun talking about your rads.
Perfect. Thanks, Dustin.
Awesome.
Have a good night.
See ya.
Yeah, Nick, continuing that theme of like Oscars, movies, awards, all that stuff. Here is, we went on such a high note, and I am about to bring it right down to the bottom.
Yeah.
So I hope you're ready for this.
Okay, what do you got?
The armor from the movie Rust ended up being convicted.
Yes.
I believe it was a criminal thing, and they're waiting on sentencing. So it wasn't even like the civil case. I think it was criminal. Yeah.
This was what's his name? Was the executive producer and star
Alec Baldwin.
Alec Baldwin's show. Yeah. And Sarah was the second camera. No, this is a different show I'm thinking of. Remember Sarah, the camera assistant that got run over by a train while we're bringing it down on a movie? That was a different show, but
like that happened here?
No, it was a different show that was on my mind. There's an anniversary about it
elsewhere, right?
Yeah, this was years before. The armor person that passed away is way more recent. Sarah was years ago, but there was an anniversary that just popped up, and for some reason I blended the two together in my brain.
Yeah, so the armor is the person who's in charge of all the weapons on set. Yes, they got charged, which I believe also Alec Baldwin is going to court for this as well. So I'm not too sure how well that bodes for him.
I'm surprised that they did the armorer's sentencing first before Alec Baldwin's. That's a little bit shocking to me, but how old was the armor? Wasn't he 24?
It was a young lady. Yeah, she wasn't very old.
Oh, it was she. Sorry. Not that young people can't do things, but man, this one really seems like I can't just. It's hard to fault somebody that young, and I don't blame them for taking the opportunity, but I don't know what production would possibly put somebody in charge of weapons and ammunition at that age. That just doesn't make any sense to me.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a bit of a sad one, but it is what's going on, and it's something that is continuing. So I think we're going to hear more about this once Alec Baldwin goes in.
Yeah. Well, this is the hardest part to get that will it'll be difficult for the lawyers to from the prosecution side to clearly communicate to the judge just how much power and sway a star has on set, such as Alec Baldwin. That'll be difficult because in a regular job, the power dynamic's not the same as it is on a movie set.
Yeah. Honestly, it's like any job. Whose responsibility is it? So it's something people need to be aware out there. Like when you are working, you do need to be responsible as well.
Yeah, that's true. It does come down to you, but man, when you're so young, it's easier for us to say that now, and it's more about communicating to the younger people to take responsibility for their own safety. But boy, it's a lot easier when you get older to make that call to just say, sorry, this isn't safe, than it is when you're younger.
Yeah. This stuff comes up for me at my work as well because I work for a safety association. This, there's been, it sort of sounds like when you talk to people, there's some issues with this age gap, and things have been so much safer than they were, 30 years ago.
That's true. Yep.
Haven't experienced these things, so they don't really know that these sort of things can happen. So, which also makes it important for that. Anyways, Nick, I want to move on to the next thing. Canon has put out their 2024 corporate strategy. Have you seen it?
Yeah. No, I haven't seen Canon's. Just one more thing on the safety thing. It's a lot better now, but when we were both working on movies in our younger years, the old grips is who used to save us because they would always speak up for safety. Yeah, it's if it's a really smaller independent show that's got a lot of younger people, you still need that old grip that can raise their hand and let everybody know that it's not safe. But no, I didn't see the corporate strategy.
Yeah, so I don't think it's going to be shocking. Video is basically the answer to it.
That's what Canon's saying, video?
Yeah, that's a very basic gist of it, is that there's going to be more focus on to enhance stuff for creators, make things more usable for them. So, flip screens on phone or whatever helps people out. Smaller, speaking of gear too, like smaller things, we recently bought the new DJI Mic 2 for our office.
How's that working?
It's a good little package, pretty simple to use. I say pretty simple. I've had a few issues with it like losing its connection for some weird reason. I feel like it is a me problem. I'm the problem there, not the microphone itself.
But it's still recording it because it records direct, does it not? So if it loses connection, you're all good.
Yeah, as long as you hit the button.
Oh, it's a separate.
Yeah.
Okay, so if you think it's recording,
yeah, you can, and
it's not.
You can run it from the receiver or from the transmitter too. So like, there's different ways of dealing with that. And if you're experienced with it, you're going to know everything right away. I just have inexperience, so it'll take me a little bit to learn.
And here's another question with that mic. So your mic, your actual recorder, can you hook up a lav to it as well as the pack, or how does that work?
Yeah.
Can you do both at the same time?
No.
Okay.
So, I'm just bringing it up from the DJI.
My other question is the recorder itself, would it be a substitute for a shotgun mic? Like, let's say I wanted to put one just sitting on top of my camera. You know how you just throw a shotgun mic on the top of your camera to grab kind of ambient, pick up dialogue, all the shotgun mic stuff. Could you use this in that situation, or it's not made for that?
Yeah, you could if you wanted.
Okay.
They're actually, they got like magnets on them, which make them kind of nice too. So, you can probably, you almost don't need a cage or anything. Just clip it on to wherever there's metal on your camera.
Yeah.
You're good to rock.
Hats is where I see the best use for it. Somebody's got a hat and they're doing a lot of moving around, clip it to their hat.
Yeah. Yeah, they're kind of a slick little thing. Again, like for our purposes, is I'm gonna call like our business and how we market is like creator stuff, even though we don't have like a person in front of the camera. But like, it's perfect for us.
That's awesome.
We also bought a tripod, which I'm also gonna find this for you. It's a small rig tripod, so I'm sure you're familiar with small rig.
Yeah.
The tripod itself, I believe, it's called the Free Blaze Counterbalance Tripod. I'm showing one up on the screen. It's got the Pro 8 head on here. I think ours is like a smaller head. The tripod itself is carbon fiber. It's pretty heavy duty. It's like as big as my big Manfrotto I used to use back in the day for like heavy tripods, except it's half the weight because it's carbon. Everything on it's quite nice, like the carbon legs and that. Like I would keep those all day. The clips are a little bit plasticky on it, but it seems fine. Where there's metal, it's nice. It would be nice if there was slightly more metal to it, like those clips were metal or something would be pretty slick. Thing I don't like is the head. So
well, how much is the tripod though?
That's the other thing here too. So the one with the pro head on here is $800. I think the one we got was $500 or $600.
Yeah, I would expect a little bit more out of the head for $600.
Yeah, but I mean, even too, like if you go down to Don's Photo right now, you can get it's a ProMaster one, I think. Don't quote me on that, but it's much smaller, not even close to as sturdy as this tripod is. And honestly, that's strictly just because the size is so much bigger.
It's Manfrotto, you said?
Yeah, I think so. It might be.
I've never really loved the Manfrotto heads, to be honest. ProMaster. Okay.
On the small rig, it's a small rig head.
Okay. Yeah.
But yeah, I have a Manfrotto here that is a way better head than this. This one, and it's like I think it's like a $200 or $300 hit. So
that's a little disappointing then.
Yeah, at some point in time, I actually wouldn't mind like finding that Manfrotto one and throwing it on this rig. This would be like the greatest, tripod rig for our work anyways, and sort of the things we put it through.
You know what's funny? Speaking of tripod heads, and tripods, I've
said no one ever. Do you know what's funny about tripod heads? No, there's nothing.
Nothing funny. So I had some panning and tilting issues with my tripod. Not like it was smooth and everything, but just wasn't beefy enough for my camera. So I've got a real sturdy tripod now, but I find myself going back to my smaller, lighter tripod head in most of my circumstances, unless I'm going to do a really tight shot where I'm operating it. It's just too big of a pain. I don't like using it.
Yeah. Actually, I was talking about the tripod at Don's Photo. That's probably its biggest perk is that it's such a smaller package compared to this. So if you're looking for like something that's a little more, what do you call that?
Yeah, a little more travel friendly, a little more run and gun. I was going to sell my old tripod, but I just don't want to because it's so light. It's so easy to carry around. I just don't want to sell it anymore.
Yeah, tripods I love tripods for some reason.
My nice one is a Sackler, but I cheaped out on my bigger one. Like the sturdy one, I've just bought I can't remember. It's probably a ProMaster or something weird like that. But to get that version in the Sackler was going to be like $4,000 or something crazy. So,
yeah. Comparably, like I was looking, there's a Manfrotto one at Don's here as well it's on sale right now for $660. But the legs of this small rig one are just so much better than this Manfrotto one. But the heads are very comparable. They're not like Super Pro, but they're okay. They get you by in a pinch.
I didn't even know Small Rig was making tripods now.
Do you know what? Me neither. I think it was like the Vegas show or something. They ended up winning an award for it. And
really?
That was sort of how I got onto it. Like it was probably like a B&H email or something. The ProMaster one I'm talking about is $400. It's a 30p video tripod kit. Again, it's a nice little kit. If I wanted something to be more mobile, I'd probably get this. But our small rig one goes higher, way more sturdier. I can actually just sort of do more with it. But again, the head is actually comparable. And when you're comparing that cost of $400 versus $500 or $600,
Yeah.
It's kind of the important part.
Yeah. So speaking of audio as well, have you ever used those lav stickies?
Like, what do you, like the,
So it's like a sticky. So you'll put a sticky. There's one that'll
and then it
adhere
just,
to
like,
your clothing,
pinches
and then
the
you go
cord,
over top
right?
of it. Yeah. So you'll put it on your clothing, and then you'll stick the lav on top, and then you'll put another sticky over top and fasten it down. Have you ever used that?
No.
So I've just usually just clipped it on, kind of old school and stuff like that. And I was in Saskatoon, talking to my friend Thomas there, and he does kind of documentary style work and stuff like that. And he had this giant packet of stickies on the table, and he was showing me what he does, and it's like, he just put in an order for BH Photo last week and messaged me if I wanted to get some. So next time I'm in Saskatoon, I'm going to pick them up from him. But from what it sounds like, it seems like it's almost the only way to go when you're using a lav, because he essentially eliminates those, like, the clothes rustling, and it never really moves on them. Yeah, I'm really looking forward to trying it.
Yeah, I've seen people use it for that, like specific sound things. Just talking about labs too. So the DJI lab that goes on it, one of the interesting and also probably shitty, is the clip for it. So where you clip it on,
Yeah.
it actually rotates. So you could literally clip it at any angle, but it is still plastic.
Is it a 360 mic, or is it
No.
directional
Just
mic?
literally the clip. So this is your mic and this is your clip.
Okay.
The clip spins.
Oh,
So
can you lock it in place?
yeah, like it sort of clicks into place. So it's like a click, 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 but it spins 360. So you could literally, if a shirt isn't quite perfect and you need like a 37-degree angle or something,
Okay, yeah.
you can put it at a 37-degree angle so that microphone's still pointing at the mouth. It's kind of nice.
And is it magnet that it sticks on, or is it
How
does it fasten to clothing?
You can magnetize them, but the clip itself also actually clips. It is a clip.
Oh, it's like let's see, like a paper clip kind of clip, or what is it?
Oh, like a pinch.
Oh, it's like
the exact same clip you always see on every
like a binder
single
clip.
microphone, on every microphone you've ever used in your life.
Oh,
the
just a
same
regular. Okay,
clip,
it's just a
except
regular microphone clip.
at the end, it pivots and can go 360 around.
Okay, I don't mind that.
You still seem confused about it.
No, now I get it. So whenever I've seen, because you see those clips on people's clothing and stuff, and I didn't realize it was just a regular microphone clip. I thought it was either a magnet or it was like a pin or something.
They also have a magnet, yes.
Okay, that's what was confusing me. That
so it's like multiple ways. So now what you're confused about is the transmitter has a clip that pinches. Also, It also has a magnet, but the lavalier itself, the lavalier clip that holds
the lavalier. Okay, that's what I'm.
can spin 360, so that
Okay,
you can literally clip it and then twist the microphone towards the mouth.
yeah,
It's
I don't
amazing.
hate that.
Yeah, it's
And
great.
then I'm assuming you can also plug in a Sennheiser lab into it, or your extra labs you got lying around.
So yeah, it's like it is like just a mini jack input. So anyone should work. However, I have been seeing like online people saying that they don't work as well. And like the only one that really works is the DJI one.
Ooh,
yeah,
that's a little rough because
and it doesn't have like a screw in either.
Oh, that's rough too, because I've been on countless shoots where all of a sudden the mic dies and you need to pull out another lav, twist it on. Well, not countless, but 3 or 4 where it's happened. Like it's happened before, let's put it that way. And you need to just swap out the mic. And if it only works with DJI, now I guess in that situation you could unplug it, go without the lav, and just use that mic, so you'll be fine. But I don't love that.
I don't know.
I would prefer to see just the very standard twist in lav connection, wouldn't you?
Yeah, I'm almost willing to bet the next iteration has that. It really has been the number one complaint, at least that I've seen online about them. There was one other guy that had some issues with some weird, like, I don't even know what to call it, audio distortion, echoing. It just recorded, it did something super bizarre on him, but I mean, we haven't had any issues like that. And I'm sure for the most part, you won't get that. That's like a 1 in a million type thing.
Now, it depends how much you're using your lavs, but I've found that lavs that are getting frequent use they'll just die eventually. Like the cords will become undone. And I've done various soldering over the years and then kind of got another few months out of them. But eventually, once they start going, they're usually on their way out, I've found.
Yeah. Before we get into our topic, the Nikon Red thing, which I think is kind of the big one, I've got another little one I want to rip through with you. My boy Mark Denny put out a video saying why you are not a great photographer.
Yep.
Why are you not a great photographer, Nick?
I can tell you why I'm not a great photographer right now. I don't take enough photos.
What about like video? Why are you not a great videographer then?
I think I am a great videographer. With the parts where I'm not a great videographer is when I branch too far outside of my skill set and I don't incorporate what I'm really good at.
So that's actually really funny. Point number 1 in Mark Denny's video is about like when you're starting out, experiment and really find what you love and then do that like solely. So maybe to your point, like, you know, when you're branching out a little too much, maybe you shouldn't be.
Yeah.
You'd buy into that sort of concept?
Well, I'd buy into it because photos, I can take photos of people. So even portraits. So if I'm going to do portraits, I can do corporate portraits and portrait photography. But what I've done in the past is I tried to become, I've done it where I've tried to be a stills photographer and I've got my flash rig set up and all the flash stuff and doing things that I thought I had to do as a stills photographer and wasn't loving my photos at all. So all I do now is I recreate my talking head video setup and I just use my video lights and it looks amazing. Because it's the same thing. I'm going too far outside of myself and I didn't have the proper time and knowledge for the proper still setup. But if I do what I do for video, just use my constant lights, always on lights. And now when I go to a stills gig, that's what I bring and it works out really nice.
Exactly spoken like Mark Denny's first point. When you're learning, start failing, fail hard. Find out what you're interested in, experiment, figure it out, and eventually, you know, I always say it takes like 3 years to really figure it out, but you know, after a year, you're going to start finding some things that you're like, oh, okay, I got this. And then after 3 years, you're going to be like, I really got this. But when you're doing it for a really long time, I would also still say experiment and do other things.
That's a good point, and it's kind of humbling. So I was watching, have you ever heard of the YouTuber Marcus?
Marcus Picks?
No, Markus. No, Mark. Oh boy, I probably messed up his name. Anyways, it's this guy on YouTube who does art, and he like customizes stuff. So he'll paint on sneakers and he can paint anything. He's just like an artist essentially, and he customizes stuff. And he said, and I was watching his video, and he said, and he'd customized some shoes for this guy, and the guy was like, "These are amazing. Let me take you out for a beer." And the guy in the person in the video was like, I'm not 21 yet. I can't even drink. He's like, I still live at home. And I thought he was lying because he looked like he was 28, 29. I looked it up, and the kid's 20 years old, and he's making and editing these videos, and they look amazing, and they sound amazing, and his edits are really well done, and his pacing is incredible. And yeah, it's humbling just to go, okay, so there's this kid that's maybe been doing YouTube for 3 or 4 years, but there's still a lot that you can learn from him as well.
Yeah. So, Nick, after you find that sort of thing, you're finding your niche, then what do you do? How do you become that kid?
Sorry, ask the question again. Am I the kid? You're the kid?
Following like Mark's steps here. So his first step is to, really find what you love and that's your thing. So like, what do you do after that?
So having not seen that video of Mark Denny's, but I would say just do it over and over and over and over again.
His exact thing is unrelenting focus on photo editing. But that is ultimately do it over and over and over again, whatever your thing is.
You know what's so funny? So I have a memory. You probably have a similar memory as well. But I know they get a bad rap, but I like talking head stuff just because I like lighting a talking head video. I like shooting a talking head video. I like asking the questions behind the camera. But I have videos on my hard drive of when I first started doing it, of like Janice just in the living room reading a book and me lighting and lighting and lighting and lighting. And then, I've got so much of that. And then I've got videos of me in a chair, like sitting there, lighting, making adjustments, changing, lighting. I should probably still do more of that. Maybe I need to do more learning, more relentless pursuit of getting better at the craft.
Yeah. Speaking on what Mark Denny is speaking about as well too, like, so unrelenting focus, period. Whatever you do, honestly, I don't care if you fix cars, if you paint, whatever. Unrelenting focus, get you there. But speaking specifically to photo editing, this is why it also like partly bugs me when people are like, well, Photoshop's not photography. And I've always been like, well, it's 50%. Like, you got your field stuff and then you got your darkroom stuff. So it's 50%. Like, and I wouldn't agree with like discounting that way. But also at the same time, I am 99% sure my work in Photoshop helps me in the field, and vice versa. But I would actually say my Photoshop stuff helps me in the field even more, because at home I'm reviewing and going like, well, I don't like this frame. What should I have done differently? And then, the next time, even subconsciously, that's in my mind, and I go out, repeat my actions, except make those really small, finite corrections.
So how much, at what point of editing and learning Photoshop did that start taking effect? Because I would say that my lack of Photoshop knowledge, like I can fumble my way around it, and I've used it significantly more than the average person has, but I wouldn't consider myself an expert in Photoshop. Like if this was a job interview, I would say that I'm a Photoshop user and all of that kind of stuff, but no, I wouldn't consider myself an expert in it.
How much? Honestly, I think for like everyone, it's probably a different answer. There's some point where like it's just gonna click with you, and all of a sudden you're like, oh, that makes sense. So you basically just have to do it until then, and however long that takes for you in particular, like it could be years, it could be decades. I don't really know. But again, but to rephrase that, I do think if you are in the practice of constantly doing that loop, you will improve everything as a whole. So like it almost starts at day one, whether you realize it or not.
Yeah, I like that.
The next one he goes through, I think, is a very simple one. I don't want to touch on it too much, but he talks about becoming a student of composition. Go online, learn about this stuff if you really want to be in photography. But I think the keyword, be a student, or keywords, I guess.
Yeah.
One. But basically, if you are willing to learn, if you have that unrelenting focus and you are willing to learn about anything, again, it does not matter. It can be cameras, it can be hockey, it can be anything you want. Unrelenting focus, be willing to learn.
Yeah, the student of composition has come up with me recently with aerials. Have you noticed? Because drone photography's kind of reached a point now where just having a drone shot is not as cool as it used to be. But to have a drone shot that's composed properly is amazing.
Yeah, it takes a little effort, right? And watch and learn what to do. Like, and just pay attention to what it is. Yeah. I think it's his last one. Don't quote me on it here. I do have the video going here, but his last one is share what you learn. So,
Ooh,
unrelenting focus, become a student, and then essentially become a teacher. Which I think is like an interesting transition. He also says too, like, share what you learn. So if you screw up, throw it out there. You know what? People are going to correct you. They're going to whatever, but you're going to learn from that if you keep becoming a student and then back to teacher and then back to student, back to teacher. And then you're starting another one of those little cycles.
yeah. And you know what? I bet you for him, because he'll learn something really specific about photography and then make a video on it. And that would probably, I can see why become a teacher would be important.
Yeah.
I've never really thought of that before.
I honestly, Nick, what do you think we do on this? Or what do you think we do in that Pat's room all the time?
Make jokes.
The most part.
No, you're right. It is a lot of teaching, and camera knowledge helps out a ton in that environment, I found.
Yeah. Jordan Blog, like always, he's like, no, I liked listening to you guys. He is going to listen to this podcast when it's out. Likely. He's probably one of our biggest fans on here. And he's like, yeah, I do learn some things. There's things that I don't know. And, you know, here's the other thing. Jordan, tell us stuff. There's things
it's true.
You know.
Have you ever seen that guy operate the jib?
Jordan?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's amazing to watch. It's a work of art, the way that you can manipulate a camera to do certain up, down, usually coordinated with the zoom and all of that, timing the shots. There's a lot that goes into it.
So again, with Jordan listening, I hope that is maybe something he takes away, because I feel like that's maybe something he doesn't do, but he is a teacher and he needs to start thinking himself as, you know, the old dog like us, letting all the young pups know what's going on now. But yeah, his title for that, Why You're Not a Great Photographer, I don't know, maybe not a great title. I'll tell you why I'm not a great photographer, Nick.
Okay.
Because I suck. And I need to learn. Like, there's so much you can learn. It's never ending. So just keep on going through those rotations, because you're honestly, at best, I feel like I'm an average photographer, which means, you know, I've got like 4 billion more people to surpass in photography skills. There's a lot of room to work.
Yeah. I can tell you why the average person is not a great photographer. And I see it all the time. You just go to a family Christmas time. Your mom will want to take a picture. What's the first thing that everybody always does?
Get together.
All right, everybody against the wall.
Oh, yeah.
No separation of the background. Drives me crazy every Christmas.
Do you know what? There's lots of things. What I always tell people is pay attention. If you truly like this stuff, the people you like, watch what they're doing. Like, rip it apart. I always say I'm a rip-off artist, right? Like, and that's what it is I'm looking at other things going like, I can do that. Oh, how are they framing this? Why are they doing that? Well, it just looks better. If I don't do that, it looks crappier.
It's true. It's if you want to film things, well, who's your favorite YouTuber? I've never really watched YouTube. Well, that's not going to work out then.
Yeah.
What's the best book you read on photography? Well, I never really read a book on. Well,
actually, speaking of books, so I am at my book. My books are dwindling. I'm pretty sure I told you I have like a pile of books in my room, so just I can slowly read them. I think I have like 20 books left. They're like half of them are photography books. So I'm gonna finally get close to reading a book. And also, Nick, we should do this sometime.
Oh yes, that's got to be our next.
Yeah, I'll talk to you more about that later.
Yeah.
Our next thing, Nikon and Red. We said this was our big thing. The big news in the camera world. Nikon taking over Red. I've seen some stuff. It sounds like this is maybe not 100% yet, but it does sound like it's going to go through. Do you know, I almost wonder if like they don't have to go through like the same sort of things as when there's like big like corporate takeover things. So I don't know. I imagine it just takes some time, but it probably will happen. Where do you want to start with this?
So if anybody doesn't know what's happening, Nikon is essentially buying Red. And at first to me, that sounded like, how is Nikon going to buy Red? But Nikon apparently is significantly larger than Red. Was it 100 times or 1,000 times larger?
I don't even know. Like
it was a crazy number. Yeah, like significantly larger. And the interesting thing here is that so Red essentially has the patent on compressed RAW. So every time another camera has compressed RAW, they have to get the license from Red. And Nikon was apparently using the compressed RAW without a license, and Red had sued Nikon, and Red apparently was suing everybody. Like, they were quite protective of that patent. And from what I can understand, Nikon essentially got sick of the lawsuit and just bought them. Is that what you've essentially summarized from it?
I'll basically, like, everything right now is speculation. So I think that's a very real possibility. Like, how do you find your way out of this? Well, do you know what? We can just buy them. So why not just buy them? I think there's, for Nikon specifically, there are some other advantages to that. So Nikon does not really have, Canon's got a cinema line, for an example. Nikon does not.
Yeah. Now, this is the part that bugs me, is that I wouldn't have wanted Canon to buy Red, because Canon is notorious for charging as much as they absolutely can and inflating their price.
Honestly, Nikon's going to do the same thing, because
Nikon does the same thing. But Red wasn't known for that. Red was selling their cameras for a lot of money, but essentially, I don't think their markup was as high as Canon and Nikon, is what I understood. So I'm a little concerned about this now.
Sorry, I'm trying to look up the Red camera site on here, just to give you an idea of what Nick thinks is not markup. Because I feel like their cheapest camera is like $8,000.
Well, their Scarlett would be...
I don't even think they have that anymore.
Oh, they got rid of the Scarlett?
Yeah.
Okay.
Let's go buy now. Komodo 6K is $6,000.
Okay.
US.
Yeah,
and
it's a lot.
And that is just the camera body. There is nothing with it. If you want to get the starter pack, which has some hard drives, a little connection, still no lens, it does come with a Canon EF adapter
Ooh,
which I
yeah,
think might be another reason why Nikon was like, yeah, we're going to kill that and it's
yeah.
all going to become Z mount. Anyways, that starter pack is $7.5 grand. A production pack with a few more things and still no lens is $8.5 grand.
So
With a grip
this,
handle.
you said it there with that EF mount, and that is my biggest concern here because Canon essentially is trading allowing Red to use their EF mount
I'm going to cut you
for
off
use.
I want to cut you off for just a second though, because I just brought it up. So the V Raptor XL camera, how much is it, Nick? Just the body.
65,000 US.
45.
Okay.
Close. So, but that is, that's reasonably priced in Nick's mind right now. Anyways, continue on the EF mount thing.
So, just let me go back to that a little bit. So, what Canon would do is Canon will essentially does the Tesla model where they'll have the exact same product, but you have to pay to unlock features in it, and you pay substantially more to unlock these features. But Red was you didn't have to be concerned about insane markup, was my interpretation of Red. But now I will be a little more suspicious of insane markup on their product with Nikon in charge.
Yeah. I know. I think it's a great move for Nikon. It really solves a bunch of problems that Nikon has.
It
and
does.
Moving forward, honestly, it's almost exciting to see like both brands will probably grow from this, which I think is great. I think it's great for Red to grow. Hopefully they keep the brand Red and hopefully they just expand those cameras. And then too, to see like what they cross over from Red into Nikon cameras.
Well,
like, can you like for imagine having like that $45,000 camera and then buying, a Nikon Z1 and having it be like almost a perfect matching B camera to it.
Yeah, that would be nice.
Yeah.
I can see that. I am concerned for Canon right now because unless they can figure out a way around the raw compression in video, I don't know what they do going forward, because my camera uses raw compression and it's great. But the only reason they could use that is because they'd worked out a deal with Red. But how is Red gonna make that happen anymore?
I actually don't think it's an issue. When you look at like I believe Nikon cameras are using Sony CCDs as we sit and speak.
So, well, that's another interesting thing, is because Red makes their own sensors.
And they're so much better. Like that's what you're really paying for. So I assume they're going to keep that. The other thing too, right? Like I assume they're going to keep it because how many movies are shot on Red now?
Yeah. Yeah. Well, then this is another, I don't even know. I should have looked this up ahead of time, but I didn't think of it. What Alexa's using for their compression, or if they've worked out a deal with Red.
I think Alexa has their own, if I remember correctly. Don't quote me on that. That's what I see Canon doing too, creating their own.
Yeah.
It's just a matter of time before they figure out, what they actually need to do, and then they'll do it. They'll be like the first shitty version, and then we'll get better ones that come after it from Canon. But actually, that's another reason why it's also exciting, because if Nikon starts bringing some of this stuff into Nikon cameras, then Canon has to push theirs to get up to that point.
Yeah. I guess I'm not as excited as you, mainly because I've seen Nikon screw up video time and time and time again.
Well, I feel like this takes all that away, right? Like, how can they screw up now? They have it done. They have everything there.
As long as they don't what's the technical term? Vertical integration, where they integrate the two companies. Isn't that a thing? So as long as they don't completely get rid of Red, and Red can still have their own people making some decisions, yes, incorporate Nikon's marketing, all of their distribution power. They could take advantage of all of that, but I sure wouldn't want the Nikon menu system to creep up into the Red, because the Red menus actually make sense. You can find your way around them. There's a lot of things that I wouldn't want to see kind of go down the road of Nikon.
Yeah, I don't foresee that happening, at least not in the near future. I could actually see Nikon stealing more from Red than Nikon giving to Red. Hopefully I said that right.
Yeah. Actually, that's interesting too, is if you could see one of the Red sensors in one of the Nikon small body cameras. That would be interesting, wouldn't it?
Yeah, lots of potential. Anyways, if you want more information on this, better information, you can Google. Basically, every YouTuber, tons of sites from Petapixel on have done some stuff. The one I listened to that I liked that made a lot of sense was from Matt, who is Matt Johnson. So Google him, throw it into YouTube. Nikon is buying Red camera. Here's what it means for filmmakers. I thought he did a pretty good breakdown of it. Yeah. And that was sort of like the big news thing. And I think it'll continue to be the big news thing for some time, right? As we start to see things develop from it.
Yeah. I can't see there being a bigger news story till fall. Like, this is going to take us through summer. I think we're going to talk about this for a while.
Do you know what? I should have brought up Canon rumors too, because I believe they're supposedly announcing an R1 sometime.
No, I the only thing that would amaze me right now, and maybe Canon is going to really start putting out a few cameras quick that incorporates that compressed RAW while they still are allowed to use it. That would be maybe the move.
Actually, one other thing that Canon did that was interesting was a patent on automated tilt shift. That's fun.
Like the lens?
Yeah. So the lens itself would handle all the motion. So you'd set an A point and a B point, and it would do it for you.
Like a swing tilt lens, are we talking? Or are we talking about a lens that will kind of tilt and pan as if it's on a tripod?
A tilt shift lens.
Okay.
A swing tilt? Is that what?
Well, that's what they used to call it on movies. They call it a swing tilt lens. But
never heard of that. Yeah, and then there's supposed to be like more lenses and stuff coming out from Canon too, but announcements coming, I want to say actually maybe this month or April. So we'll have more on that. But yeah, again, even if the R1 comes out and it's got a global shutter, still doesn't compare.
No, of course it's going to have global shutter.
I don't know if it is. I'm trying to find it on Canon rumors, and it didn't sound like it was going to have it. It was like global shutter like or something weird.
You know what I haven't looked into in a while? The software hacking of cameras. Have you looked into that at all lately?
No.
Like the Magic Lantern system and stuff like that? Is that still a thing?
I never look in. I hate hacks. Do you know what I think of a hack?
What's that?
I think like people who bring up hacks are hacks. Like I even hate when I'm like, that's sort of a hack. I don't know. Basically, it's just a fancy way of me saying I'm lazy.
No, I used to film on Magic Lantern. I loved it. I still haven't found anything that compares to the image that you could get on that Magic Lantern hack. Because this is the beauty of it, is it was taking a still raw image. So you would edit it in Lightroom, your image, actual Canon RAW file. And then it was a crazy workaround. Have I ever told you this story?
No.
So what you would do is you would install the Magic Lantern software, and it would essentially take 23.9876 still RAW frames, and you would edit. You'd set your points. So you'd bring it into Lightroom, and then you would export. You'd edit your first image, and you'd have to copy and paste it to all of your files so they'd be the same raw stuff. And then you would export 23.9876 JPEGs per second. And then you would have to you'd bring it back into this Magic Lantern software, and it would tie together all of those stills and turn it back into video. But it looked amazing. It was the most amazing look you'd ever get. It's crazy.
Correct me if I'm wrong. Is that not what Red does? Except they internally deal with it all?
Yeah, no, it's the same thing.
And sync your sound for you?
All of that done there. And now Canon can do it with using the raw light. But even the raw light's still not as good as that Magic Lantern hack used to be. It was incredible.
Anyways, Nick, we've come full circle. We've come back to Red. Red ends up being the answer.
Yeah. Just buy a Red.
We should wrap it up. I don't think we intended this episode to be this long.
This is a 45-minute one.
Yeah, another 45 minutes. Do you have any words of wisdom you want to part us with before you go?
I do actually have a quick word of wisdom.
Can't wait.
Don't be afraid to recognize somebody for their efforts, because we did that recently in the Pat's control room. And when you recognize somebody for their efforts, kind of the unsung hero, not only does that person feel good, but I feel really good. And it's worth it.
Yeah.
Don't be afraid to recognize somebody.
When I got home, I was like, the first thing out of my mouth that night was like, man, like this went over really well. I'm quite happy. The funny part was like, I was nervous about like picking them, and especially too, like, so we had a two-way tie. Brendan, our replay operator, and Lisa, our handheld operator at the Pats games. We sort of split the award. We did give it to Brendan at the end of the day, just because only one guy can wear the Scott Struthers award. But like when people were voting, it was like, damn, yeah, everyone's right. Like these people work their tails off. So yeah, in that room, I don't think I was probably as funny in my speech as I would have liked to, but I think that is the thing. Everybody worked hard. Everybody contributed, and at the end of the day, we had a really great season as a crew. Still one game left for you guys. I'm not joining you, but it was a great year, and it was really nice to see both of their reactions. Like, wow, I didn't know people thought this up of me, right?
Yeah, it was very cool.
Yeah.
Have a good night.
Yeah, perfect. Thanks for tuning in, everybody. Ending on a soft note, you've seen the lighter side of Nick and me. Apparently, Nick was like just hard ass at the Briar all week, so it's nice for him to calm down, to rein it in, and finally be nice. So, but yeah, thanks for watching, everybody, and we'll see you next time.
All right, have a good night.